Hi everyone. Today we did get a massive gap higher on the news that the EU tariffs were not going to come to fruition. At least in the near term, we've got about 90 days. So medium term for me, looks like this is going to trend a little bit higher. We did finally stall out towards the end of the session in this kind of consolidation range. The level here, 591.09. We did close right at it during the session. You can see the last candle of the day right at that level. After hours broke above it, retesting it again right here, 591.17. So right at those critical levels. Is this a lower high setup? Potentially. We definitely need to take a look at the rest of the charts and see if we can find some direction for tomorrow. Do me a quick favor and like and subscribe and watch the video till the end to help out the channel, and let's get started. Moving over to news today, we got eyes on Nvidia earnings tomorrow. What are they going to report? They said they are taking a $5.5 billion write-down already on the H20 chips. This is the largest write-down in history for the chip industry because of the restrictions on who they can sell to. Obviously, this has been a huge talking point geopolitically. What can they sell and who can they sell them to? The current administration is working on a new policy on who they're going to sell to. It seems like they're going to make basically deals with every specific country that they want to sell to, which puts Nvidia in a weird spot. My guess is this is going to be referenced in the earnings call. I expect the earnings to be just fine. I don't really expect anything crazy out of them. They continue to see massive growth, especially on GPUs, of course, because of AI, and I don't see that slowing down, at least in a major way for right now. But of course, they do have that new restrictions and the big write-down. So what does that mean for the future? They're expected to post 66% revenue growth, which is obviously massive, but it is slowing. Of course, the company grew more than 250% a year ago. So still massive growth, but it is slowing, which does make it a little bit harder to justify that massive price to earnings that it has right now. Moving over to fear and greed index, you can see we're at a 65 up from a 63. Nice little step up, bounce off of that 125. SMA, is it a technical bounce? Is it a news bounce? We're not really sure quite yet, but on a technical basis, it does look good. Extreme fear, still on momentum, still bananas to me, but everything else still signaling greed or extreme greed. Put call ratio did elevate, but came down a little bit in fear, and then volatility did move higher, didn't even get to the SMA there, but it did pull back. And then looking at safe haven demand, a little bit of a spike up, but it's already been elevated. Extreme greed there, and junk bonds also extreme greed. So stocks, great returns, bonds signaling no fear, at least for now. Moving over to earnings, we have just a smidgen of earnings left. You got Nvidia, obviously the big player. Salesforce, fairly interesting. You also have HP, Dell, a couple of those computer companies. Best Buy also in there, interesting. Marvel, software company. Costco is a big one, obviously. That is at the end of the week. Obviously not a ton, but a little bit left. Ulta is always interesting to watch, one of those consumer discretionaries, but either way, Nvidia tomorrow after hours, that's the big one. Moving over to the economic calendar, durable goods orders came in slightly better than expectations, but still very, very weak. Core durable orders, however, were a little bit better. Consumer confidence, super good at a 98, way better than expectations, way better than the previous read. Atlanta Fed GDP, a little lower than expectations, but that was also higher than the original estimate. That estimate did get moved up a little. And then for the Wednesday, Fed minutes tomorrow, that could be interesting. Otherwise, GDP, definitely interesting Thursday. Initial jobless claims, pending home sales, crude inventories, and then PCE data here on the Friday. Moving over to the charts, looking at the S&Ps here, you can see we finished right at that level, 591.09. The close was 591.15. So right at the level, we pushed straight to it. Are we going to push through here to a higher high? Is this a lower high setup, or is this the start of a topping pattern? We're not really sure quite yet. Obviously, we're still in the early stages. This was a nice breakdown, came down to the trend structure, didn't actually touch it. I thought we would get at least a little bit of a wick lower into this zone here. Didn't happen that way because of the news, and then we got the big move here on the day up 2% to that next level. So is it going to push through here? That's what we're waiting to see. After hours, it's up a little bit. So right now, it looks like we're going to push to that next level. 597.63 is the next level there. Momentum did flip to bullish. RSI right there at the SMA. So if it's going to reject, this is probably where it's going to do it. So definitely some risk in both directions depending on how you're trading at this point. And then looking at that hourly chart here, you can see big gap up, pushed through this level, retested it, held it on the test, and then continued to that next level. This is a zone of resistance clearly. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, breakdown of the neckline, continuation lower. through wicks, rallied into that Friday, and then did pull back. I thought this was going to be another rejection here, and it wasn't, obviously because of that news. So right now, this is a bullish structure in the very short term. Moving over to those tasty charts, even with the move today, we are still below that trailing stop on the weekly. This is at 594.85. So we're not quite there yet. Do we reject from there one more time? Consolidation top style with the lower high setup in here. Still absolutely a possibility. But looking at that short time frame, you can see we rallied up, hit that upper ATR band initially, and then we pushed to it again. So that is bullish. We're above all the EMAs. We're in bullish conditions here. Trailing stop 586.48. Then moving over here to the NASDAQ, similar thesis, up 2.35%. Got very close to the level 523.24. Gapped through this consolidation zone right through the level 509. That was the resistance. Immediately pushed through there, obviously, into this consolidation here. Do we push to that next level 538.28? That would be the most recent high that we had a really strong rejection off of ahead of all of that tariff news. But at this point, we're getting very close to that, which is honestly surprising because there is still a lot of tariff risk. But that's where we're at. After hours, we're up a little bit. You can see it here on the hourly chart. Big gap up through all the MAs and SMAs, still bullish on the hourly, pushing towards that next level. Momentum is fading. We did hit overbought conditions, but at this point, you could argue we're already in the double topping range. We haven't taken out those highs yet. You can see what I'm watching right here in these kind of wick consolidations. 522 is my alert. And then if we start to break back below this kind of consolidation range here, I would like to know that as well. Doesn't mean I'm going to close a position at all, but it does seem like this is the zone of resistance if it's going to be one. Otherwise, we're going to push through to that next level. Moving over to the tasty charts here for the Qs on the weekly, you can see we're back above that trailing stop. That was that 517.76 level. We got above it a couple of weeks ago, but I said I thought this was still going to hold as resistance, and the next week was down off of that, but now we're back above it here. Right now, your next resistance is that 523.23 level, that first ATR band, waiting to see if that is resistance. So far, we have not closed above that level over the last 3 weeks. If we push through there, their next target is going to be that 550 area. So something to keep in mind. Obviously bullish conditions there as well. And then looking at that 4-hour chart, I just wanted to highlight this is still in bearish conditions, even with the move that we got off of that. Your trailing stop is above this previous high, and that high is 524.09. So still in bearish conditions. Do we push up to there, reject, and then get a continuation lower? Or is this just a short-term hesitation, bounce off of that 55 EMA, then a continuation? Either one is possible still, in my opinion. Moving over to the Russell and the Dow. The Russell had a massive pop up 2.5%, as you would expect, pushing back towards that 208.22 level, pushed clean through everything here, gap down, retested the trend, continuation higher, momentum stepping back to bullish, again, RSI. If it's going to break down, it's probably going to do it here soon. We have not tested that yet. And then looking at the Dow, similar thesis, back to bullish momentum, RSI retesting this consolidation zone. Very big pivot point here, needs to go if it's going to do it. If it does, I think there's potential in both cases here to get up to maybe 215, and then the Dow looking at probably 440, which takes you back to this consolidation here from February. Moving over to the Mag 7. Mag 7 had a great day, up 3.2% and continuing to run. 315 is the resistance. We didn't quite get there on this consolidation, but we threw a bunch of wicks and we're almost to the high of that Wednesday session. The high there was 313.75. We're at 311.91 right now, but it looks like we're going to continue to drift higher here. Momentum bullish, RSI just barely above that SMA. Moving over to Apple and Microsoft, you can see Apple was up 2.5%, even though this didn't really affect them that much. But big gap down, big gap up. So that's an island reversal potential. Maybe we get a little bit of swing here. Momentum didn't go with it. RSI didn't really go with it. I still don't love Apple. I just don't really see this company growing. And this still looks like consolidation at best, with a high around this kind of 213 area and a low here now at 193.96, 194, somewhere in here. So if you want to look for the play up to that 211, 213 area, I totally understand. Otherwise, Microsoft looks like it's about to break out above the high here, continues to run 2.3% headed towards 466.57, which would take you to that all-time high. Seems like it's about to go through that level. Microsoft, really the best play in the Mag 7. Moving over to Tesla and Nvidia, both of these having great days as well. Tesla up almost 7%, pushed clean through this consolidation high through that 355 level after hours, pushing towards 366. My next level, 369.33. You got Elon coming out and saying Tesla is his primary focus. You got a nice base here, looking like this is going to push back to the highs around 420, 414 in this kind of consolidation range here. And then Nvidia obviously headed into earnings, as we already talked about, but it held the test here, 130, tested it on Friday, held it on the close, pushing back through there, the next level, 140. So we said if it went through 116, probably going to 130. So far, so good on that. This next level, I didn't really expect to happen, but it seems like it's probably going there at this point. Moving over to staples and discretionaries, a little bit of an everything buy here today, up almost 1% on staples. Discretionaries, obviously much more, headed towards this consolidation here. We're very close to those highs again. The level is 219. Are we going to push through there? Momentum bullish, RSI still bullish. Momentum bullish, RSI still bullish on staples as well. Everything looks good across the board. No delineation between the two. Moving over to breadth, again, highlighting that the all clear is not quite there. You did not fully recover the move here on market breadth on the 20 or the 50-day. You saw markets getting very close to those most recent highs, but breadth not doing it yet. Momentum did step to bullish. RSI still well below the SMA. Is this still a topping pattern? Certainly a possibility. And I think this could go either way at this point. Watching the same setup on that SMA for both of these. Moving over to the dollar had a nice move. You had a low, higher low setup here. Nice push through that high here. Very nice continuation. Didn't quite get to the level. We're right at the 144 on the hourly as resistance. We'll see if this ends up being a zone or not. You're also in this consolidation low range that you had a failed breakdown here. And then looking at that daily chart, you can see nice move up, a little bit over 0.5%, looking for that 99.83 level. Still very much a downtrend here. Momentum did step to bullish. RSI, again, looking for a retest of the SMA. Is it going to break down from there? Is it going to push through? That is the question. You could say low, higher low here. High, higher high. Is this trending higher? Still a possibility, but price is not really going with it the way you would like to see it if the RSI was going to be continuing higher from here. So just some things to watch, could go either way. Moving over to bonds. Bonds had a great day, up 0.6 and 1.4% respectively, headed right back to that 85.90 level. Probably going to buy some bonds in here tomorrow. Really like the move in here. Obviously the opportunity was a little better over the last 2 days, but I like this base here. Want to see this zone. Does it push through here and continue? Is this still very much a downtrend? Yes. But it seems like markets continue to defend this zone. It did go slightly lower than this, but didn't go to the 82.60 level, so that's a little bit reassuring. Want to see it push through here, like I said, back to that 89 area. Either way, I'm buying this for the long term in a different portfolio. And then moving over here to the VIX, no surprises, big sell-off here after touching that 25 level. I thought we would get a push into here, at least 28 to this kind of 30 area, somewhere in here, this consolidation of EMAs, but it didn't quite work out that way. We're still in this zone of consolidation after the rejection here, momentum, stepping back to bearish RSI right at the SMA. So again, inverse of everything else, breakout, retest, continuation potentially, waiting to see what happens there. Certainly could be the same setup that we saw everywhere else. Moving over to my accounts, I actually put the shares back on here. You can see bought 200 shares. I bought these on the breakout of the pre-market consolidation, and that was a pretty good trade. So I bought these in here close to 519. They rallied up to 522, so that's nice. And then I ended up rolling these out here. I just didn't want to continue to sit really tight to the break-even point, so I rolled out to 512 for 52 days from now. I don't want to go any further than that, and that is for $23.50 credit. So the max profit there now is $535.50, so that gives me another $10 of potential upside, of course, across 2 sets of shares there. So potentially 2,000, and then we'll see if it can run or not. And then if it does sell off, obviously I have lots of protection here down to that 512 level. So we'll see. Right now, bullish position, not super bullish, but a little bit. If we get the continuation, which is certainly a possibility, I'll be in good shape. If it breaks down, I'll probably take these shares off and then sit on the calls, which was my original plan, but right now, markets do look pretty bullish. Let me know down in the comment section what you think is going to happen with Nvidia earnings. Are they going to break out? Is it going to go to the moon, or are we going to get another nothing burger from Nvidia? Let me know. Otherwise, like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video. Make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. Good luck in your trading and have a great day.